Way back in the far-off year of 2012, I made the first ever episode of Stuff You've Probably Wondered concerning how weird it was that a mile was 5,280 feet long. I explained different units of measure and their origins and found out that many of them were actually pretty interesting. Well, today, we're going to turn the strange scale up to 39.7 and look at some more bizarre measurements. This is List. Number 10, the Scoville Heat Unit. Ever wanted to know just how hot that chili is before you eat it? Well, this scale was invented by Wilbur Scoville in the early 20th century to figure this sort of thing out. By diluting the pepper extract into sugar water, a team of tasters will check the solution over and over until they can't detect any of the heat from the extract. To put this in perspective, a bell pepper is 0 Scovilles, a jalapeno is 4,000, a habanero is somewhere around 225,000, and the ghost pepper, one of the hottest peppers in the world, is nearly 1,000,000. Number 9. Stone. In the early days of measurement, things were pretty crude. If you wanted to compare the weights of two things, the easiest way was to just pick up the nearest rock and compare them that way. In the Roman Empire, weights were officially created using what else but stones. When the Romans came to the British Isles, the stone was accepted as a unit of measurement, but every part of Britain seemed to want their own official stone, so after quite some time, the average weight of all of these rocks came to equal 14 pounds. Number 8. Barleycorn. I mentioned this unit of measure in my Stuff You Probably Wondered video, but just in case you forget, this was an imperial length of measurement for things smaller than an inch, as 3 of these seeds make up 1 inch. Apparently a lot of things were measured by seeds in Britain this way. They were about 4 or 5 poppy seeds to an inch, and even the standard grain was used as the basis for measuring weight. And as it turns out, the barleycorn is still used today as the difference in length between 2 adjacent shoe sizes. Number 7. Dole. You've probably heard the famous myth that a human can only withstand a certain amount of pain, even though the limit is broken by giving birth or a well-placed crotch punch. Well, this is completely false, though the scale of pain has some truth to it. In the 1950s, James Hardy, Helen Goodall, and Herbert Wolfe developed the dole as a unit of pain at Cornell University, increasing whenever there was a noticeable change in intensity. This idea had merit, but was very inaccurate because everyone experiences pain differently. However, it's still used in crude format in most hospitals. Number 6. Firkin. This was another one of those weird imperial measurements, but this one was used mostly for measuring beer. The firkin equals a total of 9 gallons, which I assume is the amount an Irishman can drink before he actually starts feeling tipsy. Number 5. Smoot. In the 1960s, a man named Oliver Smoot was in a fraternity at MIT and a stunningly average 5'7". Normally his height wouldn't matter, but his fraternity brothers decided to famously use his height as a unit of measure to find the length of the Brooklyn Bridge by marking his body at every increment. The conclusion? A total of 364.4 smoots, give or take an ear. Number 4. Smidgen. Have you ever lazily leafed through Aunt Gladys's ancient cookbook while you were bored and happened upon a recipe that asked for a smidgen of salt? What's that supposed to mean exactly? Well, according to kitchen suppliers, a smidgen equals a 32nd of a teaspoon or half a pinch. Other units like this include a pinch equaling 1/16 of a teaspoon and a dash equaling a quarter. Number 3. Nibble. Everyone at this point has heard of a byte being 1 unit of information stored in computers, but did you know that also half a byte exists? Nibbles, or nibbles, are used in the hexadecimal number system, which, while having the normal 10 digits, also have the letters A through F. You've probably seen this system used in the descriptions of colors on computer programs, and as it turns out, a nibble equals exactly 1 of these hexadecimal values. Number 2. Death. Yes, as it turns out, death is a unit of measure. In radiation, the basic units of exposure are grays and rads, but a big issue with radioactive material is the danger of acute radiation syndrome, or ARS. As it turns out, the average amount of rads needed can be directly converted into each symptom in this disease. Nausea and vomiting is 100 rads, fever is 200, diarrhea is 600, and finally it requires around 800 rads to properly kill you. Number 1. Olf. I'm not sure if this was someone's clever joke to discreetly tell someone to go take a shower, but officially the Olf measures the strength of a pollution source. In other words, it describes how bad something smells. So how much is 1 Olf? If an average human works in a non-industrial workplace, takes an average of 0.7 baths per day, and has a skin area of 1.8 square meters, their stank is supposed to be a value of 1 Olf. Comparatively, a heavy smoker is 25 Olfs when smoking and 6 when not, and an athlete is usually around 30 Olfs. Well, it's time for the list honorable mention. I felt like I had to include this on the list because it's just too freaking funny. The unit of measure is a mugesegel, or the length of a housefly's penis. Okay, it's not a real method of measuring things, especially because you'd need a really tiny ruler to do so. The mugesegel is actually an idiom found in southern Germany, used to compare something really, really tiny. Just thought you should know. Thanks for watching this episode of List. If you have any suggestions for subjects to count down, leave it in the comments or email me at stuffyou'veprobably.wondered@gmail.com. Which unit of measure is your favorite? Do you have any others that you know of? Either way, I'll see you next time on List.